Hey everybody, Grest here. So today what I have to show you is a device that can really help you when you're doing maintenance on your AR-15 trigger. So let's go ahead and get started. So I recently picked up this AR trigger and hammer jig from Brownells, and this is made by Strike Industries. So let's go ahead and take a look at what comes in the box. So it's pretty plain box here. So you get the jig itself, and you can see it's windowed right there. And you have your holes for your hammer and trigger pin, as well as your safety selector. So you also have a block here, so you can go ahead and install yourself a grip assembly, and it looks like it's held on by 2 screws right there on the bottom. Then you have, it looks like, your hammer and trigger pins. They come that are knurled, and you can see the grooves cut in for the springs. And then here you have another knurled screw, and I believe this is for the hammer block. So the hammer block is kind of a polymer material here. It's a little softer than normal polymer, so this here protects your hammer whenever you dry fire it. So this assembly here, what can it be helpful for? If you're doing upgrades to your trigger hammer assembly, if you're wanting to maybe do a little bit of polishing, or you're just doing a function check and you want to kind of see how things are working. Also for complete clean and lubrication, if you want to pull your trigger assembly out of your lower receiver and put it in this device, it gives you a lot of access to doing some just some function checks and some lubrication, and even, like I said, some polishing. So let's go ahead and kind of put a mil spec trigger hammer assembly inside of this guy and just kind of see how it works. So here's a quick look at the assembly once it is put together. So you can see the screw there towards the bottom for your grip assembly. I have the hammer drop block installed here as well, and this is a thumb screw that kind of threads in to the side. I went ahead and put in the hammer and the trigger pins as well, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing together, put a trigger in it, and see how it works. Here you can see the Strike Industries AR trigger and hammer jig fully assembled with a grip, a safety assembly, as well as the hammer and trigger assembly. I also have the safety block installed as well. A couple of things that this thing allows you to do: it allows you to demonstrate how a trigger actually functions or works. You can of course see everything through the window there. You can also practice installing a trigger hammer assembly before installing it in an actual firearm. You can do maintenance to it, and you can adjust your trigger assembly if it does have some sort of adjustment. Okay, and you can also dry fire the trigger without risk of damaging anything. So it did take but just a couple quick minutes to install this assembly here. Like I said, the trigger hammer screws are just push pins like that with a kind of a knurled end on the one side. The hammer drop block assembly is threaded on one side with a knurled thumb screw on the opposite side. They have it clearly marked here. I actually like kind of the you got the skull and crossbones for the fire position and your safety selector, and then you have the peace symbol here on the safe side. So a little bit of humor there from Strike Industries. Pretty cool assembly. So here you can see, if I go ahead and test this thing, you can see my hammer locking back, and if I put it on safe, you know, I can see that my safety selector assembly is actually working just fine. And of course, if I flip it back to fire, I can fire this thing. I don't have to worry about risk of any sort of problem. That's a nice soft hammer block right there. And of course, if I keep this pulled back, I can make sure that my disconnector is actually working properly like so. So some of the advantages of this thing, like I said, is being able to see all the assembly in there. You have the opportunity to see all the working components. So if you are troubleshooting some sort of a weird trigger issue, taking your trigger assembly out of your firearm and putting it in this jig assembly here, you can maybe diagnose what the issue might be. Also, if you're doing a little bit of polishing to any of your surfaces, you can do a little bit of polishing and then see how things are going to work for you once you do a little bit of work. Anyways, a cool little assembly from Strike Industries. A lot of you folks that tinker with ARs and triggers and such like that might find some pretty good use from this. Strike Industries, in my experience with some of their products are kind of hit or miss, but this one here is definitely a hit in my book. Very nice, simple assembly, not terribly expensive. And for those that have the need for more tools for their arsenal for working on AR-15s or other firearms that take the same trigger assembly as an AR-15, this is probably right up your alley. Anyways, go check this out and other tools over at Brownells. They are your one-stop shop for anything firearm related: tools, parts, accessories, ammo, reloading components, etc. And especially you know, maintenance items as well. So if you would, please use my link down below over to my link tree, and that will take you to all of my affiliate links, including Brownells and others. Definitely helps the channel out, keep us going here with different stuff like this to bring to you guys. Appreciate everybody watching and subscribing, and I will catch you all in the next video. Y'all take it easy.